Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Trading Secrets. This channel is for entertainment purposes only. For those of you who do not know, my name is Ali. I have over 20 years experience teaching accounting, economics, business and law. Through this channel I'll be providing some stock analysis and a quick update on the $1 Million Challenge. So if anybody's not aware of this, this is a journey with an investment of $1,000 to a return of $1 million over a period of 3 years using a strategy called compound return investing. So the objective is try to get 201 trades each with an average return of 3.5%. It's not 201 consecutive trades, we do take into account losses. So for further details about how to join us for less than $9 a month, information is available in the description below. In today's video I'm going to be looking at FINRA's FAQs part 2, and then at the end I'm going to be sharing with you some of the missing questions that I believe they did not address. We'll also be going to be looking at MMAT in terms of another new CEO. Yes, that's right, another one, second one after George. So Jim has now gone, so stay tuned for that. So let's first of all start by having a look at what's happening in the market. So first headline here from Bloomberg, we can see the S&P 500 here is set for the longest winning run in 2 years. So the Fed officials are pledging to watch the data, focus on cooling inflation. Bonds are climbing at the Bank of England's pill signals, basically stating that there is a chance of rate cuts in 2024. So good news there. So moving on, in further news from Fox Business, we can see internal emails show that the SEC coordinated climate disclosure rules with IA firm set to financially benefit. So again, it looks like Gary Gensler is again under pressure here, and some more accusations against his underhand alleged dealings, and hopefully there is a subpoena on him further down the line, not only for the environmental concerns but also for MMTLP as well. And finally, shout out to Unusual Wales, who have again tweeted about Senator Thomas Carper, and they are saying here he's disclosed that he profited shorting the US economy. Since he's now going to be retiring, they wanted to highlight his unusual trades whilst in Congress for 40 years. So he's become a millionaire many times over on a very modest federal salary from trading. So before we look at a breakdown of the FINRA FAQs part 2 accommodative errors, as I'm going to call them, I'm going to share with you 2 of my posts that I shared with regard to these FAQs. And the first one here is basically a statement tagging in FINRA and telling them that it's taken them 11 months now to do this. I wonder if you are smelling a subpoena, jail time, or a Department of Justice investigation. Of course, I do expect this supplemental FAQ to be again full of holes and a failure to address key issues. And Bradley's tagged in to say that Hollywood Henry will now have to publish a whole new brochure. So I believe Hollywood Henry is on board with that. But before we dig into the FAQs, the first thing that I picked out here is in terms of information from FINRA, who stated that they do not possess the information that presumably would be required to conduct such a share count audit. So these are their words. And also with regard to the blue sheet data. So what I have stated there is I really seriously hope that this is not a joke. So basically, FINRA, you are now saying you do not have the information to conduct a share or count audit. That's what you're saying. To me, that smells like a bigger cover-up than JFK. That is your job to get the data. That is your responsibility. That is your role. Have you not thought about asking Sam Draddy, because he has actually acquired the blue sheet data, and I believe you need to address this and not pussyfoot around. So let's get straight into the new FAQs. So what these were published here, we can see on November the 6th, 2023, and they've titled this the Supplemental FAQ, MMTLP Corporate Action and Trading Halt. So what FINRA have stated here is they have continued to receive questions regarding the circumstances surrounding these events. So I believe that they are more concerned about the questions from Congress and not the questions from retail investors. So obviously Gary Gensler has been asked questions, Sam Draddy has been asked questions, there have been meetings with Congress, and I believe this is one of the reasons why they are now trying to provide some more information on this, not in response to the retail request. And as I stated in the tweet, it's taken them 11 months. So what they've also stated here is, in particular, some have questioned the level of short selling. And yes, we have questioned that, and I believe you have not addressed that in this FAQ. They've also stated it's not clear what is meant by the term counterfeit shares. That's quite staggering for FINRA, which is their job to understand this. The SEC will explain this, so we'll look at that shortly to enable some further assistance for FINRA who do not know what counterfeit shares are. And they're saying it's been used in social media when they discuss naked short selling in a security and failures to deliver. So they are basically saying they don't know what counterfeit shares are. So here's a link. If you type in counterfeit shares, you go to the SEC website, and remember, SEC are your regulatory organization. So they are saying here basically, if you go to the article here, and it comes under counterfeiting, and we can see here illegal naked shorting, stock manipulation, and obviously there's going to be definitions in here for counterfeit shares, which I think FINRA and the people in FINRA need to read this article carefully to educate themselves. Let's now get straight into their first question that they've addressed, and they've titled this as number 12, and here they're saying, were the right number of Nextbridge shares distributed in connection with the corporate action? And what they are saying here is that FINRA does not have the role in distributing securities as part of a corporate action. So obviously the responsibility here, they're saying, is going to be on MMTLP, Nextbridge, and they are saying here the issuer has represented that just in excess of 165.47 million shares were distributed in connection with Nextbridge MMTLP corporate action. And again, they're saying FINRA does not have the jurisdiction, authority or data necessary to audit Nextbridge hydrocarbons or AST stock records. So again, a clear example here of passing the buck. And we have a look at question 13, and they're saying here, can FINRA perform an audit of Nextbridge MMTLP share count? So FINRA has received questions concerning the share count audit of Nextbridge and MMTLP shares, and while it's not clear what is meant by share count audit or audited shares, in social media might refer to review to determine whether there are counterfeit shares, and they're also saying the term counterfeit shares is similarly unclear. So again, they're kind of saying we don't understand this, we don't know what counterfeit shares are, what exactly does that mean, can you please explain to us, we're not sure what you mean by audited share count. So it's just complete denial. Number 14, how much short selling was there in MMTLP around the time of Nextbridge MMTLP corporate action? Was there a large short position in MMTLP shares? So first of all, before we look at their response, the blue sheet data and all the data that they would have full access to would give them the full information here. So obviously passing the buck here is something that would be completely inappropriate. But what they are saying here is they periodically collect short interest information from broker dealers and publishes short interest reports twice each month. But remember, they have full access to the full data and they can access that at any time. If they have trouble accessing it, I'm sure they should be referring to Mr. Sam Draddy. So it also goes on here to say FINRA estimates that there was an aggregate short interest position in MMTLP held at broker dealers as of December the 12th of approximately 2.6 million shares out of 165.47 million, and they are saying this is not a significant percentage and only represents 1.6%. So it looks like they are completely ignoring any counterfeit shares. They are completely ignoring obviously the actual true data and giving us the data here that was officially released without the blue sheet data information. And in terms of short interest, they're saying the daily short volume has been subject to social media posting. So again, I think this is a clear example of FINRA keeping a very close eye on social media, probably being in the spaces, listening to all the people, and that's what they're referring to here. Social media and social media postings, particularly with respect to the number of reported short sales in MMTLP on the last day of trading. We're looking at 9.5 million shares, which some have mistakenly assumed represented or resulted in large short positions. So they are basically denying there were large short positions. They are denying that short positions were significant, and they are claiming it is only approximately 1.6%. So again, if that is the case, let's see the proof. but they are not sharing the proof. They're only making empty statements here. Question 15, was there excessive naked short selling resulting in counterfeit shares at the time of the corporate action? And they're saying, whilst it's not clear what is meant by the term counterfeit shares, again, not basically saying, well, we can't answer this because we don't know what the term counterfeit shares means. Further down, then they're saying, FINRA has found no evidence that there was significant naked short selling in MMTLP at the end of its trading. Well, you're not going to find evidence of naked short selling if you don't look. And if you're saying there's no evidence, then release the data and prove it. What have you got to hide? Now continue to look at their next question, which is number 16, and they are stating here, have all MMTLP shareholders received Nextbridge hydrocarbon shares? What about investors who purchased their shares from a short seller? So they're saying here that Nextbridge has stated that its transfer agent has distributed all shares related to Nextbridge, either directly or to any stockholders that held their shares directly registered with AST, or to the shareholders' bank, broker or nominee representatives. So they are basically saying here that Nextbridge is saying everybody has received their shares. Now, I'm not really sure about that, but that's what they are saying. And further down, they are saying, based on the small size of short positions with broker dealers that existed as of 12th December, 1.6% of total shares outstanding, it appears that there were only a limited amount of shares traded on MMTLP around that time of the corporate action, and might have been settled by broker dealers using borrowed shares. So again, they're suggesting they might have been settled, but again, not providing any significant clarification or evidence. And the next thing here, which I think is interesting, is number 17. If we have a look on the left hand side, why did FINRA halt trading in MMTLP before December the 12th? And what I've added on the right hand side is the original question number 1, which states, why did FINRA halt trading in MMTLP? So an important difference here I'm just highlighting. On the left hand side, the new updated version, they're saying FINRA is authorized under its rules to impose a quoting and trading halt. On the original one, they are saying FINRA is permitted. So there is a difference in language there. So originally saying they are permitted, so they have permission to do that, but now they are saying they are authorized to do that. So it sounds like here, when they're saying authorized, it could be a case, we could interpret this as the SEC is part of this, so they are being authorized maybe by the SEC. So could be sort of saying, look, we have been authorized by the SEC to do this, whereas in the original one they are permitted, and in other words they have permission. So I think in this new one, slightly stronger language, but obviously the rest of it is similar. And further down, they are now saying specifically trades executed after December the 8th would not have settled in time for the purchase to become a holder of the MMTLP shares by December the 12th. So it's the same old rubbish that they've said before. In addition, there was a potential for confusion and disagreement in the settlement process. Well, clever clogs, if your intention was to remove the confusion, what the hell do you think has happened right now? So quite staggering. And at the bottom, they said they believe in the absence of a halt, all the above factors would have made continued trading past December the 8th highly problematic, and the potential to cause significant uncertainty regarding the settlement and clearance process for any such trades. And they are now saying, accordingly, FINRA determined that an extraordinary event within the meaning of the trading halt had occurred. Not may occurred, but had occurred. And halted trading in MMTLP on December the 9th. But I think I have a simple response to this. And the simple response to this is, were you not aware of these dates months or weeks in advance? If you were, then why was action taken suddenly? And are you basically saying, well, you just suddenly woke up on December the 8th and thought, whoa, these dates don't seem right? Why were the dates not clarified much earlier? I think that is a blatant example of incompetence. Moving on to number 18. Did the corporate action require the short positions to be closed out, and did the halt allow short sellers to avoid closeout obligations? So what they are basically saying here, the corporate action did not require investors with short positions in MMTLP to purchase shares to close out their positions. So they're basically saying, you know, we're on the side of the shorts, they didn't have to close, and that's okay. Whereas retail investors, you invest, you take the loss. So nothing here about shorts having infinite risk, infinite loss, and they're saying they didn't have to do that. So we can see here whose side they are on. So the trading halt did not change short sellers' close out obligation. So in other words, they are saying they had no obligation to close. Again, it would be interesting to see the SEC's perspective on this, because that is contrary to what all traders understand. So they said it's not uncommon for short positions to be open when a corporate action occurs. Broker-dealers remain subject to any closeout obligations that exist under the SEC rule SHO. So again, they're saying, well, okay, if you catch us on this, it should have been the broker-dealers, not us. So it's a case of, yeah, okay, but you know, if you win this argument, well, it should have been the broker-dealers, not us anyway. So they're trying to cover their backs in two different areas there. And then the final one here we're looking at is number 19. How can a holder of Nextbridge liquidate their securities? And it states here, the stock has been distributed successfully. Well, I don't agree with that. I don't think the stock has been distributed successfully, and that former MMTLP shareholders hold Nextbridge hydrocarbon shares. Well, I'd like you to find me some European investors who have got Nextbridge hydrocarbon shares. European investors are unable to use AST, including every single investor with trading 212. So I think you're not addressing this accurately. So they also stated, we understand that some Nextbridge holders would now like to trade their shares. Again, you have not addressed the question here correctly. Nextbridge hydrocarbons would not like to trade their shares. What they would like is to have a market with close only position. We don't want an open trading market. What we did want and what the company did ask for was a close only position, and you have failed to answer that question. Also saying it's difficult for Nextbridge shares to trade their shares because Nextbridge has not taken the steps necessary to facilitate secondary market trading. Well, I agree with Nextbridge. We don't want an open market trading because it will just be shorted down. That's what you want, but that's not what we want. Nextbridge chose not to obtain a QSIP from the QSIP Global Services for its common stock. Therefore, and this has further hampered the secondary market trading. So for some reason, FINRA think that everybody wants an open trading market. No, we don't. Without a QSIP number, broker-dealer is not able to obtain a trading symbol for Nextbridge. That's because the company doesn't want it to trade under open market conditions. And they're saying that FINRA to support trading activity unless Nextbridge takes steps to facilitate trading in its common stock, shareholders will continue to have have difficulty trading their securities. So what I'd like to draw your attention to is the correspondence from the company where they wrote to you and said, look, we'd like to have limited trading with close only positions, and you basically refused. I finally like to finish off by adding just a few questions which I believe they have not addressed, so feel free to add in more questions in the comments and we'll try to increase this list. But just quickly from the top of my head, these are some key questions which I believe they have not addressed and they need to address. So first of all, why was MMTLP allowed to trade without company approval? And if you look back to one of my previous videos, we know that this has happened previously and FINRA released the blue sheet data. And also they failed to address the inputs of Ari Rubenstein, Canaccord and GTS. Have they been investigated? Have you looked at their role? And have you looked at any nefarious activities that have taken place? No addressing of this situation. What was the fraud uncovered in the FOIA release? Can you clarify that? Can you explain that? Can you add it in the FAQs? We need to know. Congress needs to know. Investors need to know. Everybody needs to know. Please address that. If Sam Drady blue sheeted the MMAT and MMTLP data, why can you not share this? Why are you kind of saying, well, we don't understand this, we can't get this, this is too burdensome, this is too difficult? Get Sam Drady on the case. Next question I believe they've not dealt with is, do you believe the intention of ensuring there was no uncertainty in the settlement, obviously, of the shares by using the U3 halt created more certainty? So your intention of avoiding uncertainty, do you believe that created more certainty? Because if you ask any investor out there, they are completely uncertain. So you're saying you tried to create certainty, but what's the truth? And the truth is, it was not in the interest of retail investors. So if it's not in the interest of retail investors, what was the U3 halt in the interest of? I think that question needs to be addressed. Next question I believe is missing. If you're saying there was limited or no evidence of counterfeit shares, then prove it. Let's have the release of the audited aggregate share count. Why did FINRA not attend the meetings with the company, and why was there no communication shared or correspondence shared, and why did you ghost everybody, including John Berder, when they were waiting for you? That question needs to be asked. You have failed to address this question. Next question, why did you refuse the company request of a temporary period of trading, which we just talked about, with close positions only to settle the trades? You seem to be very, very keen on having an open trading market, but not keen on having a close only position market. Why? And when you did realise that the dates were not appropriate, and who exactly was aware of the U3 halt? When was this decision made, and did you inform the broker dealers? We need clarification. I would like this to be uncovered also in a FOIA request. And finally, my final question here, what specific harm would now happen in releasing the blue sheet data? We're close to a year, and what's the harm? Finally, I'm going to finish off by sharing some important news from MMAT and Metamaterials. So this is something that I posted earlier, and I've stated here the merry-go-round continues, and Jim Fasaro has been replaced as the CEO by CFO Yuzi Sasson. And how long is Yuzi going to last? So let's have a look at the press release, and it states here, Metamaterials has also announced results from strategic restructuring focusing on growth and priority. So I believe this press release is also basically stating that the company are trying to reduce costs. But in terms of the thing I want to focus on here, under leadership transitions, they have announced that Jim Fasaro has resigned, and they are saying this is due to unexpected health conditions. So obviously he's no longer around, and now obviously we have Mr. Uzi, and Mr. Uzi Sasson has served as Meta CFO, Chief Operating Officer, since April 2023. So again, relatively new to the company, and they are basically saying he is now the new CEO. So we will see what happens further down the line. And finally, thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned.